All right, so welcome everyone. This is our kickoff meeting for the Youth Program Quality Initiative. So today we're going to finish up our warm welcomes that we just started, and then the bulk of today I'm going to be walking through the Youth Program Quality Initiative process and the schedule for the year, and then we'll have some time for some questions at the end, but also feel free to ask questions throughout. You can either ask questions in the chat box or feel free to come off mute and interrupt me, however you are most comfortable asking questions. Quick intro of our network team. I know there's a lot of familiar faces on this call, but also some people that may be newer to us. So we are the Alaska After School Network. We are a program of the Alaska Children's Trust. So we focus primarily on after school programs supporting you all in any way we can. And so our team, and on the call today, we have Thomas. He is our executive director, fearless leader, and expert in all things after school in Alaska. He's an amazing resource. Lily is our AmeriCorps project director. So one thing that we do at the network, and we're excited to be ramping it back up for this school year, is placing AmeriCorps members in after-school programs to bring capacity to programs and to provide specifically STEM programming. So if you're interested in either hosting an AmeriCorps member or if you know someone 17 or older would be interested in serving as an AmeriCorps member, Lily would be someone to get in touch with. Next, Anna and myself are kind of the program quality professional development people here. Anna plans our November statewide conference, and I oversee a lot of our program quality work. Taylor is our AmeriCorps Vista for the year, focusing on communications. So our newsletter and social media is a lot of her work. And then Severa is our school age childcare program specialist. So she focuses mostly on licensed school age childcare. But if at any point you need resources on anything related to after school, any one of us could get you in touch with the right person. But that is our team. So diving into the Youth Program Quality Initiative, there's a lot of acronyms in this. I might switch to saying YPQI, that's Youth Program Quality Initiative. I'll try to make sure I explain all of the acronyms as we go. But we go through a 3-step cycle throughout the school year. So fall is the assess phase, and we're going to dive into each of these cycles throughout our time together today. So the assess phase is when you're going to be assessing your program and gathering data about your program through your assessment. And then in fall, in either November or December, that's the plan phase where you'll come to planning with data, do some root cause analysis, and do some goal setting. And then in spring, January, February, March, that's when you are implementing your goals. You might attend some trainings or some coaching sessions. And then at the end of the school year, in spring, you do another assessment to measure growth and change throughout the school year. So that's this graphic on the left. The one on the right, I want to introduce it now because it comes up a lot throughout this whole process. This is the pyramid of program quality. It is shaped like a pyramid because the things on the bottom are foundational and build on top of each other. So you can see they're kind of divided into 4 categories: safe environment, supportive environment, peer interaction, youth engagement. The idea is you cannot do the things at the top of the pyramid. You cannot expect kids to do things like make plans, reflect, have voice and choice if they don't first feel safe physically and emotionally, if they don't feel encouragement, if they don't feel a sense of belonging. We share this because 1, it's a great training tool. 2, it's a visualization of best practices for working with youth. And 3, it's also a visualization of the program quality assessment tools that we use in this process. So the tools that we use have kind of 4 chapters, which are what you see here. The first few pages are all about safe environment. The next few pages are all about supportive environment, and so on. And then these subcategories, there's a page in the tool for each of these subcategories. We're not going to go too much into that today because you have your entire program quality assessment basics trainings to learn all about how the tool works. And then at the bottom of the screen here, a little game we like to play in this meeting. We're going to say the word data a lot. And every time you hear the word data, you can either click the react button at the bottom of the screen and make a little emoji pop up on the screen, or in the chat box, drop a little emoji every time you hear the word data. Data. Woohoo. All right, moving forward. All right, so we are going to start with the assess phase, and I'm going to give a quick overview of the tools that we use in the assess phase of the YPQI. So there is the school age program quality assessment tool, also known as the SAPQA, the youth program quality assessment tool, YPQA. Those are the two main tools. They're very, very similar. There's just a couple differences in some of the items to better suit the age groups, but they're almost identical tools. The school age is meant for grades kindergarten through sixth grade, and the youth tool is meant for grades 5th through 12th grade. And so these tools are measuring what's happening at the program level. What are youth experiencing? And it's mostly looking at interactions between staff and youth. So what opportunities are staff providing to the youth? You'll also see on here, we have the SEL PQA add-on. This is something new that we're piloting this year. There is a whole tool focused on specifically SEL. It's kind of like a step up from the school age and youth tool, but it's also a little bit of a sidestep into more SEL specific territory. So we are piloting this with a small handful of programs this year. And some more information will be coming to those programs who marked on their application that they wanted to do that. My goal is to get that information to you hopefully by the end of today. But most programs will be using the school age or the youth tool. Okay. So any of those assessments can be done either as a self-assessment or an external assessment. A self-assessment is where someone from your program is conducting the assessment. You're observing the program, collecting the data, scoring the tool, debriefing with your staff, and then entering that data into Scores Reporter, the data management system. This whole process, the self-assessment process, is what the emojis. Every time we play this game, it distracts me. So sorry if I'm distracted. um, yes, the self-assessment, you will learn how to do that in the PQA Basics training. An external assessment is where someone from the Alaska After School Network comes out to your program and we do the observation and note taking and scoring, and then we sit down with your staff and debrief what we saw, and then we take care of entering the data into Scores Reporter for you. A few of you may also have a certified external assessor on your team where they do the same process for you. So someone on your team may have gone through the external assessor reliability training to be able to conduct the assessment and have that count as an external assessment in this process. One thing I'll add here, so on your applications, you marked in spring or fall if you wanted external or self-assessments, and we always said it's completely up to programs. You could do both self-assessments, you could do both external, you could do one or the other in spring and fall. We have had a little bit of a funding change at our organization, so we are going to have a little less capacity to do external assessments this fall. So I'll be getting in touch with some of you just to kind of see where resources are. We may have some capability if programs have funding to bring us out. We just have a little less funding on our end to be able to come to specifically the PIDAP programs. So more to come on that. Thomas, was there anything you wanted to add on that?
Yeah. What I'll just add is this year, unfortunately, we had some reduction in funding from the state that is just going to impact what that looks like. Our goal is to strive to have kind of as much consistency. The YPQI process will be moving forward. As Aaron shared, that there just may be instead for external assessments, there may be some fees associated with it now. We haven't yet determined what those fees will be, but just reach out to us if you're interested still in the external assessment, especially for those of you who are with PIDAP before the Positive Youth Development After School program. Unfortunately, that was our funding mechanism to be able to cover that expense. So just let us know. We're happy to work with you. Our goal is always to strive to have our services free to low cost and whenever possible. So, connect with us and we're happy to chat more.
Great. And I'll be reaching out to everyone who requested an external assessment in the next few weeks here to see what we can get on the schedule and see what we can get worked out. Any questions so far on the assess phase? So there is this other piece that it's an optional piece of the YPQI. It's called the Organizational Quality Assessment. And so where the youth and school age tools are measuring what's happening at the program level between staff and youth, the organizational quality assessment is what's happening above. So what's happening between management and staff? What is the organization providing for staff to empower them to do everything in the program quality assessment? Um, and so this assessment is done by, it's basically an interview. You sit down with us and we walk through the tool with you and score it together. So this is kind of an optional piece. We don't recommend doing it every year. We recommend programs do it every few years or anytime there's like major leadership turnover or major policy change within an organization. And then kind of the final piece for assess phase and really all the phases is going to be scores reporter. This is our data management system. This is the one piece of this whole process that we ask you to cover the cost for. So if you have an external assessment done, we'll put the data in there for you. If you do a self-assessment, you'll be in charge of putting the data into Scores Reporter. And we get all of the login and tutorial information to you, usually right after basics in September. And then the data that is generated by Scores Reporter, it spits out these beautiful data reports that you will use at Planning with Data in November or December. Emoji, emoji, emoji. Okay. The schedule slide always overwhelms people a little bit, so I'm going to walk through it just kind of line by line. This is our timeline for fall. This is also all on our website. So today is our kickoff meeting, so that's this first line. The next piece is program quality basics training. There's two options here. The first one is the full in-depth 6-hour training that is provided by Emmett from the Weichert Center. And the Weichert Center is who kind of created all of these tools and a lot of this process. So if you're new to this process, or if it's been a few years since you've done a full basics training and you want an in-depth refresher, I recommend attending that one on September 11th and 12th. If you've done this a few times and just need a refresher, there's a 1-hour version that we're able to offer, and that's going to be on the 17th. So aim to attend whichever one of these makes most sense for you and your team. And anyone on your team who's going to be involved in this process is welcome to attend either of these. Once you're trained up in basics, late September or all of October is the ideal time to conduct your assessment, whether it's a self-assessment or an external assessment. That's usually when we go out to programs, is in October. If you choose to do the organizational quality assessment, I'm not sure if we're gonna do a whole training on it this year. We might just reach out to folks and see if they're interested. So this training is up in the air, but you'll sign up for an interview time and sit down with us to do that if you choose to.
Aaron, can I just jump in?
Yep.
What I will say is the organizational quality assessment that is free to do. There is no fees associated with that, so we encourage you to do it. It's actually a really great tool to use, especially for any of you. I know we have a lot of both new programs who are new to the YPQI, but we also have a lot of new staff who are maybe new to their role. This is a really great tool to kind of take a stop, an inventory around what are some of those internal supports we can do that help supports the external programming we're doing with you. So I strongly encourage, if you haven't done the organizational quality assessment, now would be a great time to look at, explore scheduling that time. It's that interview, as Aaron said. That's a really great opportunity to do so. So if you're interested, please signal to us, sooner in the next maybe 2 weeks or so, or if you want more information, reach out to Aaron or myself so we can make sure that we get that the training side scheduled. But like I said, it's a really useful tool. I am looking at some of our folks that I know have had a lot of organizational turnover and leadership. This is a good tool to be able to use to get yourself on track as well.
One thing I will add, if you're using more than 2 tools in Scores Reporter, there is a $15 fee to add a third tool. So if you are doing like the youth tool, the SEL tool, and then the organizational tool, it's just an extra 15 bucks because Scores Reporter loves a little fee. But everything else related to it, we do for free. And then end of October is when all of your data is due in Scores Reporter so that we can have it ready for um, planning with data at pre-conference. And we might have a little harder deadline on it this year because I'm going on my honeymoon for the 2 weeks after this, right before conference. So might be a little stricter on that deadline this year. All right. Any questions on the assess phase before we move to the plan phase? So assess phase, you get trained in how to do an assessment, you do an assessment, you enter your data into Scores Reporter. Then you come to planning with data, either at pre-conference or we'll have online options. And you have these beautiful data reports that lets you look at your data at all these different tiered levels. So you can see that this example is a site within an organization. So you can look at your site level data next to your organizational level data. And then we have our state average and the national sample. And so it kind of lets you look at where you stand within there. So for this example, I have the arrow pointing here because it looks like their site's doing pretty well in comparison to their organization, but still a little under the state average. So that might be an area we want to zoom into. So these data reports let you zoom in. So still in supportive environment here. Then it looks like active engagement and skill building scored a little bit lower here. So we're going to zoom in even further and look at what specifically in these categories are areas that we might want to think about setting goals. So it looks like maybe this program should do more tangible products or performances, youth talk about activities, engaging with materials or ideas. So maybe more hands-on things might be an area for a goal. Question in the chat, where do we sign up for PQA basic training? I think I put the links in an email yesterday, but I'll send those out again as it gets closer. So planning with data, we're offering both online and in person at our pre-conference in November. So in November, it's going to be the 17th. Conference is a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this year instead of Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So Monday, the 17th is going to be pre-conference. If you choose to attend that one, that is 6-hour workshop and where we do a deep dive into some root cause analysis and goal setting and all that good stuff. We're also offering the 6-hour version online in December. Bouncing back up here, we also have a 2-hour version of planning with data for returning programs. We have some programs that love planning with data and come to the 6-hour version every single year. Totally welcome to do that. But if you've been through the 6-hour version once or twice and just kind of want the nuts and bolts, feel free to come to the Essentials 2-hour version as well. And then at the end of planning with data, ideally you are walking away with your goals entered into Scores Reporter. We know some folks, if their whole team can't make it to planning with data, they want to go back and have a meeting and finish setting their goals and enter their goals at a later date. You're welcome to do that. We just like to try to have them into Scores Reporter before you leave for winter break. All right, so that's the plan phase. So the improve phase is kind of like a 90-day improvement period. January, February, March, you're implementing your goals. These are the list of trainings that pertain to the different areas of the pyramid of program quality and different areas of the program quality assessment tools. We also offer training supports and we'll have a professional learning community session. So it's really your time for your program to focus in on your goal areas. So what this looks like is January, right after winter break. We invite you to a professional learning community to really empower you to be successful in your goals and do some peer learning. And then January through March, you're also doing whatever you need to within your organization to implement your goals. And we offer coaching check-ins if you want to sign up for coaching sessions to check in on your goals and try to help you keep the momentum around your goals. And then we offer the 1 hour version of PQA Basics in spring as well, in case you need a refresher before you go ahead and do your spring assessment. And then again, those trainings that we offer, the youth work methods pertain to specific areas around the program quality assessment tool. So some people will attend just 1 or 2 youth work methods that pertain to their goals. Some people love to attend all of them because they're all great trainings for working with youth. And the dates aren't set in stone yet. Right now I'm looking at Tuesdays, 12 to 2, but that is not set in stone. We also do have some capability if our time doesn't work for your team and there's one or two trainings your team really wants, we can work with you and try to set something up with just your team too if needed. And then thinking of our cycle, we did assess, plan, improve. We come back to the assess phase. In spring before school lets out or before your program leaves for summer, you conduct a spring assessment to kind of gauge that growth and change throughout the year. And then we always end the year with a celebration and reflection meeting, looking at some of our state data throughout the year and kind of celebrating some of the wins and looking at areas of growth. And it also helps us as a network set some goals of where we can kind of focus some of our efforts as well. And then that spring data is due ideally before school gets out. Few things just to kind of keep in mind. Some of these different roles might look different within your organizations just based on, how many staff you have or size of your organization, but just some things to keep in mind of who's going to be doing what. So managers may relay some of the training information, or staff are also welcome to attend trainings. It's helpful if management can ensure staff members are engaged, getting staff involved in planning with data, really getting that buy-in in the process is really helpful. And managers may also take the lead on data collection if you're the one conducting the assessment, or helping staff if you're going to have staff be the ones conducting the assessment. And then on the staff side, again, more than welcome to attend trainings. Encourage them to attend any coaching sessions. Just participating in whatever ways they're capable. Just, we know there's different constraints with after school between like different hours and things. So just kind of think through what makes sense for your team and which parts to participate in. So I just talked through an entire school year worth of events, which can sound really overwhelming. And I think I also talked really fast. So I always like to show this slide because it's not as much as it sounds like. It's one thing a month. In September, you attend basics training. October, you do an assessment. November or December, come to planning with data. January, professional learning community. January, February, March, whatever goal implementation, training, coaching you choose. And then April, you're conducting another assessment and coming to the celebration. So there's a lot of details, but it's really just kind of one thing a month. I'm going to stop there for questions, comments, concerns. We also try to make this really easy on-ramps and off-ramps. Things change throughout the year, so we're happy to work with you in any way we can to make this a feasible process for everyone. Let's see, it looks like Lou found our events page on our website. Yes, that is one place you can find our trainings. I don't know that I think our PQA Basics Essentials is on the training page. And then I think the full basics training is just directs you to email me because that one's not completely open to the public just because there's limited seating in that one. But thanks for that, Lou. That's a great place to find our trainings.
Yeah, it looks like there's a link to it that says the 2-day, 6-hour workshop is, and it gives the time, and then it just says, please contact you. So
Yep.
easy peasy.
Yeah, and I'll send out, I have my whole listserv of all of the YPQI people that I'll continue sending all of the registrations and updates to.
Aaron, I'll just jump in as well. One of the things we encourage you to, for those who have new staff or maybe new yourself, if you're not yet, excuse me, not yet signed up for our newsletter, we encourage you to get yourself and your staff signed up for the newsletter. That is the best way of staying up to date for new news and information. If there is more than just yourself, so I know many of you are, project or program directors. If you want your staff or someone else also to receive those kind of direct YPQI updates from Aaron too, just let Aaron or myself know. We can add you on that. And I'll include the link to sign up for our newsletter here shortly.
I'll also add too, a lot of times year one going through this is kind of a learning year. Just know it's my job to hold your hand through this process. So if something feels overwhelming, you need help scoring at any point, give me a call, give me an email. It's my job to help you do this. And then maybe some of you can attest to this, that kind of once you get going on year 2 and 3, it just kind of becomes part of the process and built into the organizational culture. So try not to be discouraged if you're feeling overwhelmed in year 1. I will stay on for a few more minutes if people have questions, but that is what we have for you today. Thank you for being here. And yeah, I think everyone probably has my email because I sent out the information for this meeting. So feel free to reach out at any point as well. Thanks for being here.
Project Grad, it's great to see a team reassembling for you all. Kudos.
Thank you. Yes, we have a team, and most everybody was here today, but we're looking forward to working with you guys and definitely going to have that organizational assessment done.
Awesome.
Good to see you, Thomas.
Yeah, we'll see you guys. We'll be in touch.
Thank you, Aaron.
Good to see ya.